We are Rogue Media Sports.
That's another first down, brought to you by BAM Remodeling. From concept to completion, BAM delivers quality craftsmanship and stunning results. Whether it's a bold kitchen update or a full home makeover, BAM is here to help. Give your home the upgrade it deserves. Call 254-716-9987 or visit remodelwithbam.com. That's remodelwithbam.com. BAM Remodeling. Dream big. Remodel better.
All right, we're going to start off with the 6A right here. We're looking at Region 2, District 12. 6A, Region 2, District 12. Last week we had Killeen Harker Heights. They went over to Killeen Shoemaker, and the Killeen Harker Heights Knights beat the Killeen Shoemaker Grey Wolves 28-10. We had the Bryan Vikings traveling to Hewitt to play the Midway Panthers. And the Midway Panthers came out with a 49-10 win over the Bryan Vikings. And then we had the Copperas Cove Bulldogs travel over to Temple, Texas at Wildcat Stadium, in which the Temple Wildcats came out of that with a 32-0 win over the Copperas Cove Bulldogs. Looking into this week, it looks like we're gonna have the Midway Panthers are going to be traveling down to Bulldog Stadium to play the Copperas Cove Bulldogs. The Temple Wildcats will be traveling over to Leo Buckley Stadium in Killeen to play the Harker Heights Knights. And the Killeen Kangaroos will be traveling to Bryan to play the Bryan Vikings at Merrill Green Stadium. And then that means that the Grey Wolves will be off. Just looking at the standings in that district for this week. We got 1 week to play. This is the final week. The Harker Heights Knights are leading that district at 5-0. They are 7-2 overall. And then you have the Midway Panthers, who are sitting in second place in that district, 4-1, 8-1 overall. The Copperas Cove Bulldogs are sitting in third place in the district at 3-2 and 6-3 overall. The Shoemaker Grey Wolves, Killeen Shoemaker Grey Wolves, are 3-3, 7-3 overall. Looks like they won't be playing this week. And then you have the Temple Wildcats sitting at 3-2 overall in the district, and 7-2 overall. Then you had the Bryan Vikings, who are 0-5, 0-9, and the Killeen Kangaroos, who are 0-5, 0-9. And it looks like the Kangaroos and the Bryan Vikings are going to play to see who's going to not finish last in that district. All right, let's move to 5A Division 2. I believe it's 5A Division 2 District 10, Region 3 District 10. Looking back to last week, we had the Waco Lions traveling to Belton, in which the Belton Tigers ended up defending their home turf over the Lions with a final score of 42-18. And then we had the Killeen Ellison Eagles traveling over to Brian Rudder, in which the Killeen Ellison Eagles won 59-13. And then at Waco ISD Stadium on last Friday night, we had the Brenham Cubs playing the Waco University Trojans, in which the Trojans won pretty big, 42-14. And I'm pretty sure that wraps up the district championship for the University Trojans. Looking at this week, and then also Brenham was number 8 in the state. They were state ranked. So this week we have the University Trojans traveling to the Killeen Ellison Eagles. They will play on Friday night at Leo Buckley Stadium. The Belton Tigers will be traveling to Brenham to play the Cubs. And the Brian Rudder Rangers will be playing the Waco Lions here at Waco ISD Stadium. And let's look at district standings with 1 more week to go. The final week this week coming up. We had the University Trojans leading the district with a undefeated record in district. Their overall record is 6-3. And then you have the Belton Tigers, who are sitting at 3-1, 5-4 overall. The Brenham Cubs are 3-1, also 3-1 in the district, 8-1 overall. The Killeen Ellison Eagles are 2-2, 4-5 overall. And then you have the Brian Rudder Rangers, who are 0-4, 1-8 overall. And then you have the Waco Lions with the 0-4 record over in district and 0-9 overall. Just looking into this week, it looks like the second and third third place spot is up for grabs this weekend, or this Friday. And then it looks like the fifth and sixth place is going to be up for grab this week also. Between the Waco Lions and the Brown Raiders, trying to figure out who's going to finish last and hopefully stay out of the cellar of that district. But pretty much University is going to most likely win the district, most likely. And then you had the Tigers and the Cubs who are going to be playing for second and third. And it looks like the Ellison Eagles are going to make the playoffs. We've been finishing fourth in there. All right, let's go look at 4A Division 2. Last week we had the La Vega Pirates traveling over to Lacey Lakeview. And they played, that was a Friday night game, and the Pirates ended up beating the Cadets 28-6. Then you had the China Spring Cougars traveling to Lorena, in which that game went into double overtime. And the Cougars won it 49-47 to lock their place into the playoffs. And then you had the Gatesville Hornets traveling over to Robinson, in which the Rockets of Robinson won 35-14. And looking into this week, for week 11, you had the Robinson Rockets traveling over to China Spring Cougars for the final district game for the 2025 season. And then you had the Lorena Leopards traveling over to the Willie Williams Stadium to play the Vega Pirates. And then you had the Conley Cadets traveling over to Gatesville for that game. And speaking of China Spring, you can actually watch that game on right here on Rogue Media at Friday night with JB Dominguez and Morgan Hemsley. Just to go ahead and look at that district for the standings. With this 1 week to play, it looks like the Vega Pirates are going to win the district championship with a 4-0 record, 7-2 overall. The Robinson Rockets are going to be 3-1 in district, 7-2 overall, with their only loss coming to the La Vega Pirates. And then you had the China Spring. All right, well, it's actually going to be the Gatesville Hornets. They're going to be sitting in third place, sitting at 2-2 with a 7-2 overall record. Then you had the Cougars, who did lock their place into the playoffs last week with that come behind win, double overtime thriller. The Cougars are sitting at 2-2, 3-6 overall. And then you had the Lorena Leopards, who are 1-3, 3-6 overall. And then you had the Conley Cadets, who were 0-4 in the district, 2-7 overall. And let's go look at 3A Division 1, District 5. Last week we had, look at here, let's find it. Here we go. We had the Grosbeck Goats traveling over to Whitney. And the Goats fell to the Wildcats with a 52-7 defeat. The Mahia Black Cats traveled over to Maypearl, and the Maypearl Panthers won 43-21. And then you had the West Trojans traveling up to Grandview, with the Grandview Zebras winning 49-30. And let's look at this week. We have the Grandview Zebras traveling out to Mahia, and then we had the Maypearl Panthers traveling over to Grosbeck. And then we had the Whitney Wildcats traveling to West, playing in West at Trojan Stadium. And let's look at this district. Going into this week, it looks like the Whitney Wildcats are 4-0 in the district, 7-2 overall. You had the Grandview Zebras, who are 3-1 overall, or 3-1 district record, 7-2 overall. The West Trojans are 7-2 overall, 3-1 in the district. And then you had the Maypearl Panthers, who are 3-6 overall, 1-3 in the district. You had the Blackheads of Mahia, 1-8 overall record, 1-3 in the district. And then you had the Grosbeck Goats, who are 2-7, 0-4 in the district. So it looks like Whitney will most likely win the district championship, unless West can beat them. But that's actually going to be a pretty good game over there in in the Calma of West Texas this coming week, on this coming Friday night. Let's see. We're going to look at 4A Division 1. I know that Hillsboro is in this district. Actually, they are in 4A Division 2. We actually don't have a team around here that is in the 4A Division 1 ranks. Looks like the Hillsboro Eagles are going to be playing the Godly Wildcats this week. And let's look at the standings for that. Looks like the Glen Rose Tigers are leading that district. The Benbrook Bobcats are right there in second. The Fort Worth Dunbar Wildcats. The Golly Wildcats. Then Hillsboro sitting at 1-3, 2-7 overall record. And then the Venus Bulldogs, who are 0-4, 0-9 right there. Looks like Hillsboro's actually on the, see if they can, maybe they can get a win this week and maybe they can jump into the playoffs. Yeah, they're actually sitting 5th in that district right now. So maybe Hillsboro can get into the playoffs. We'll just have to wait and see what happens this coming Friday night. And let's look at 3A Division 1. We actually just looked at that district. Here's a couple that we didn't. Here's a district that we haven't looked at. And we're looking at Region 3, District 9, 3A Division 1. We had the Fairfield Eagles, who are going to be playing the Crockett Bulldogs this week. Then we had the Tig Lions, who are going to be playing Diebold. And let's look at last week, what happened in that district. So Fairfield traveled out to Palestine Westwood, where the Fairfield Eagles won 42-21. And then the Tig Lions played Hunting Red Devils, which they won. The Tig Lions won 50-0. And let's look at the district standings with this 1 week to play. And it looks like the Fairfield Eagles are gonna win that district pretty handily with a 4-0 undefeated record, 9-0 overall. They're actually undefeated on the season. They're actually going to be playing the second place team this week with a 2-2 record, district record, 5-4 overall. And then you got the Tig Lions, who are down there. Looks like they're actually going to be in the playoffs with a 2-2 record, 5-4 record overall. That is 3A Division 1, District 9. Let's go look at 3A Division 2. That's going to bring us to a team around the area, the Clifton Cubs. The Clifton Cubs won last week 56-7 over the Dublin Lions. And let's look at where the Clifton Cubs will be at this week. The Clifton Cubs are actually going to be at home on Friday night against the Brady Bulldogs. Let's see where the Clifton Cubs are actually at in the standings. They're sitting second right here in the district with a 3-1 overall record, or 3-1 district record, 7-2 overall. Looks like they will be playing for first place this week. So hopefully let's see if the Clifton Cubs can get a win over the Brady Bulldogs to try to win the district championship this week. That's going to bring me to 2A Division 1. Let's look at that district and see who we got around our area here. Well, the Hamilton Bulldogs are good. The Hamilton Bulldogs are in that district. The Hamilton Bulldogs, last week they played the Hyco Tigers, and the Bulldogs won 35-14. And let's look at this week for the Hamilton Bulldogs. The Hamilton Bulldogs are going to be at home this week to play the De Leon Bearcats. And let's look at their district to see how Hamilton's going to do. And it looks like this week was going to be for the district championship. Both the De Leon Bearcats and the Hamilton Bulldogs are sitting both 4 undefeated in district, and they both have a 7-2 record. So that's for the district championship in 2A Division 1, District 5. Let's keep scrolling down to see if we have any more in this area. And actually we do. We're in 2A Division 1, Region 2, District 7. Let's look at last week. Last week we had the Axtell Longhorns traveling over to Bosqueville, pretty much a de facto district championship game. And the Axtell Longhorns ended up beating the Bulldogs 49-7, which pretty much gives them the district championship. The Rio Vista Eagles traveled over to Dawson Bulldogs, and the Dawson Bulldogs won 27-21. And then the Italy Gladiators were supposed to play the Itasca Wampus Cats, and of course but as you know, as I said before, the Wampus Cats have forfeited the rest of their season due to too many injuries. We hate that for the Wampus Cats. And so let's go look at the district standings with 1 week to play. So this week, the Longhorns of Axtell were actually going to be done for the season. They're actually going to be idle. Let's see who they were. I believe they were supposed to play the Italy Gladiators, I believe. No, they were actually supposed to play the Wampus Cats. And so the Axtell Longhorns will come out with that forfeit win. So looking into this week, you had the Valley Mills Eagles are going to play the Rio Vista Eagles. So I'm pretty sure the Eagles are going to win there. And then you had the Dawson Bulldogs are going to be traveling to Italy to play the Gladiators. And then the Axtell Longhorns were supposed to play the Wampus Cats this coming Friday night. But of course the Wampus Cats are forfeited. And then the Bosqueville Bulldogs are going to be, they have the bye week. And so let's go look at the district standings. So it looks like the Axtell Longhorns are going to win that district with a 5-0 record, 8-0 overall. The Bosqueville Bulldogs are 3-3 in that district, 7-3 overall. The Dawson Bulldogs are sitting at 3-2 overall in the district, 4-5 overall record. And this one is actually going to be changing right here. The Valley Mills Eagles are going to be in the 4th place position with a 3-2 district record, a 6-3 record overall. And then the Rio Vista Eagles, who are actually not going to be allowed into the playoffs this year, they're sitting at 3-1 in the district, 6-2. And then the Italy Gladiators are sitting at 1-4, 2-7 overall. And then the Wampus Cats are 0-6, 0-10 overall. So it looks like the Longhorns are going to go 6-0 in the district. Let's go look at 2A Division 2. Alrighty, here we go. Looking at this one from last week. Let me scroll down right here. Last week we had the Meridian Yellow Jackets traveling to Goldthwaite, where the Goldthwaite Eagles won 61-0. Then we had the Wortham Bulldogs traveling to Chilton, and the Chilton Pirates come out with a 63-0 win. And then the Breedmont Tigers traveled to the Hubbard Jaguars, and where the Breedmont Tigers won 62-6 over the Jaguars. And then you had the Mart Panthers traveling to Frost, where the Panthers came back with a 42-7 win. And let's go ahead and look into this week. So this week we have the Chilton Pirates traveling to Meridian. The Frost Polar Bears will be traveling to Breedmont. The Hubbard Jaguars will be traveling over to Wortham. And the Goldthwaite Eagles will be traveling to Mart. And let's go ahead and look at the district standings on this with this last week to play. All right, going into this week, the Breedmont Tigers are leading that district with a undefeated record on the season, 6-0 record overall. The Chilton Pirates are 8-1, 5-1 overall. So far their only loss is to Breedmont. And then we had the Goldthwaite Eagles sitting at 6-3, 4-2. And then you had the Mart Panthers, who are sitting at 5-4, 4-2 overall, or 5-4 overall record, 4-2 in the district. The Frost Polar Bears were sitting at 6-3 overall, 3-3 in the district. The Meridian Yellow Jackets are sitting at 1-8 overall, 1-5 in the district. The Wortham Bulldogs are sitting at 1-8 overall, 1-5 in the district. And then the Hubbard Jaguars are sitting at 2-7 overall, 0-6 in the district. Just going in looking at this, looks like the real game of interest for this week is going to be the Goldthwaite Eagles versus the Mart Panthers. That's for 3rd and 4th in that district. So hopefully the Mart Panthers can try to pull it out and move up into the 3rd place position. All right, let's go look at some 6-man here. I believe this is 6-man Division 1. We actually don't have a team in our area that is. Actually, we do. We're looking at 6-man Division 1, Region 12, or Region 3, District 12. Going into this week, or actually from last week. Last week we had the Coolidge Yellow Jackets traveling to Golson, and the Coolidge Yellow Jackets won 54-6. And then we had the Yabbitt Panthers traveling to Penelope, and the Penelope Wolverines got shut out by the Yabbitt Panthers with a final score of 46-0. And let's go look at this Week 11 game right here. So this week it's going to be the Aquila Cougars traveling over to Abbott, and then the Penelope Wolverines are going to be traveling to Coolidge. And let's look at the district standings for this week, or going into this week. Looks like Aquila is actually 9-0 on the season, 3-0 in the district. The Chester Yellow Jackets are 6-1, 3-0 in that district. The Abbott Panthers, who are sitting at 4-4 overall, 2-1 in the district. And the Coolidge Yellow Jackets are 7-2, 2-1. Then you had the Golson Wildcats, who are going to be off this week. They're sitting at 1-1, 1-6, 0-3. And then you had the Penelope Wolverines, who are 0-6, 0-4 in the district. Let's look at with another district that I did forget again. We're looking at 6-man Division 1, Region 4, District 14. The May Tigers are from last week, just like Oglesby was actually off last week. You had the Jonesboro Eagles, who played the Santa Ana Mountaineers, and the Eagles of Jonesboro won 51-6. And we're going to go ahead and look into this week right here. We're looking at Region 4, District 14. The May Tigers are going to be traveling to Jonesboro. And then the Event Elks are going to be playing the Oglesby Tigers. Let's look at the standings in that district here. Looks like we have the Event Elks are leading that district. The Oglesby Tigers are right there also. Then you got the Cransfield Gap Lions and then the Mullen Bulldogs. And looking at Jonesboro, they are sitting in 3-3 overall with a 1-0 district record. Looks like the May Tigers and the Jonesboro Eagles are going to be playing for a district championship right there this coming week. Let's look at this other 6-man Division 2. Actually, we don't actually have a team from in that division from around here. Let's see if we can find some private schools here. I believe that. Let's see what we have here. I know Waco Riker will be playing the Waco Live Oak on this coming Thursday night. So that ought to be a pretty good game there. I did forget about the Little River Academy Bumblebees and the Camino. They're going to actually be playing. Let's go find that district. Here is that district. I'm sorry, I totally forgot about that district. Looking at that district from last week, that's actually a pretty good little district right there also. So last week we had the Rockdale Tigers traveling over to Troy, and the Troy Tigers won 45-26. Then you had the McGregor Bulldogs traveling to Little River Academy, in which the Bumblebees won 56-49 over the McGregor Bulldogs. And then you had the Cameron Yeoman traveling over to Franklin, in which the Franklin Lions pretty much beat up on the Yeoman 79-20. And let's look at this week. All right, so this week we have the Franklin Lions traveling to Rockdale. The Academy Bumblebees will be traveling to Cameron Yo. And then the Troy Trojans will be traveling over to McGregor. And let's get a look at the district standings real quick. We had the Franklin Lions sitting atop the district with a 6-2 overall record, 4-0 record overall. The Little River Academy Bumblebees are sitting at 5-4 overall, 3-1 on the district. The Troy Trojans are 5-4 overall, 2-2 in the district. And then you had the Cameron Yeomen, who are 3-6 overall, 1-3 in the district. The McGregor Bulldogs are sitting at 1-8 overall, 1-3 in the district. And then you had the Rockdale Tigers sitting at 4-5, 1-3 overall. Looks like right now looks like the Rockdale Tigers and the McGregor Bulldogs are. Well, it looks like the McGregor Bulldogs are in right now. So we'll have to see what happens there in that district. And here's one district I did forget. Actually, this is 2A Division 1 District or Region 4 District 13. From last week, looking at it just last week, we had the Moody Bearcats traveling to Riesel, in which the Bearcats won 28-6 over the Riesel Indians. The Bruceville Eddy Eagles traveled to Crawford, in which the Crawford Pirates won 57-8. And then the Rosebud Lot Cougars traveled to Marlin, and the Rosebud Lot Cougars won 42-17. And we're going to look into this week 11 of the high school season. It's hard to believe this is the last week of the regular season. Kind of flew by. Takes forever to get here, and then it just flies by like that. Coming up this week, we had the Crawford Pirates traveling to Rosebud Light, and then we had the Riesel Indians traveling over to Bruceville Eddy. And wrapping up that district, we had the Marlin Bulldogs traveling to the Moody Bearcats. We're going to look at this district. So this week, we had in this district, leading the district is the Crawford Pirates. They're sitting at 8-1 overall, 4-0 in the district. The Rosebud Lot Cougars are sitting at 8-1 also, 4-0 in the district. The Marlin Bulldogs are now in the playoffs, sitting at 2-7, 2-2 overall. The Moody Bearcats are also in the playoffs as of right now, with a 5-4 overall record, 2-2 district record. The Bruceville Eddy Eagles are sitting at 1-8 and 0-4 in the district. And the Riesel Indians are also sitting at 1-8, 0-4 in the district. And looking at this, it looks like the district championship game is going to be between the Crawford Pirates and the Rosebud Lot Cougars. And then you have the third and fourth place game between the Marlin Bulldogs and the Moody Bearcats. And the fifth and sixth place game is also going to be taking place on Friday night. So if you want to see a good game, head out to Rosebud Lot to watch the Crawford Pirates and the Cougars this coming Friday night. And here we go with the private schools now. I found them. Yeah, like I said, Waco Riker will be playing Waco Live Oak. You have Waco Vanguard is gonna be at home playing Plano Coram Dio. And that's all. Let's see if I can find a few more here within the private school ranks. Yeah, I've not seen any more that are from around our area here, except for those two. All right, let's go look at the state football rankings real quick before we wrap up the show here in just a few minutes. Looking at 6A, we actually don't have a team around the area that is ranked right now in the top 25. And I know last week, but the Brenham Cubs were ranked up pretty high. I know they probably dropped pretty good this week after that loss to University. And it looks like the Brenham Cubs did actually drop out of the state rankings, out of the top 10. Let's look at 4A Division 1 state rankings. Just looking at a couple there. You got the Stephenville Yellow Jackets, who did play the La Vega Pirates, and the La Vega Pirates did lose to them. And then you had the Alvarado Indians, who are ranked number 7 in the state. They had a common opponent for the Robinson Rockets and the Colony Cadets this year. And let's look at right here on the 4A Division 2 state rankings. Looking at number 6, the La Vega Pirates are ranked number 6 in the state. In Class 4A Division 2, we're looking at the 3A Division 1 rankings. The Franklin Lions are sitting atop the state rankings, sitting at number 1. Then you had the Fairfield Eagles are sitting at number 6. That is 3A Division 1 state rankings. Looking at 3A Division 2, we actually don't have any team ranked around our area. Now we're going to go to 2A Division 1. The Axtell Longhorns are sitting at number 8 in the state. Let's look at 2A Division 2. You had the Bremont Tigers sitting at number 3 in the state. And then you had the Chilton Pirates sitting at number 9 in the state rankings. And that is Class 2A Division 2. All right, we're looking at 6-man Division 1. The Aquila Cougars come in this week at 4-0. Or not 4, number 4 in the state. And let's look over here at the 6-man Division 2. We don't have anyone in that division ranked in the top 10. And let's look at private schools. And I don't actually see any private schools that are ranked. And with that is actually going to wrap up the show for this week, for week 10 of the high school recap preview show. Once again, I'll see you next Monday for the final week, and we'll let you know who wins the district and who's in the playoffs, who's going to be starting basketball season a little bit early. Once again, my name is Branden Stone. I want to thank you for joining me. Have a great night.
We are Rogue Media Sports.